Conflict resolution for holy beings. Joy Harjo. 1. Set conflict resolution ground rules. Recognize whose lands these are on which we stand. Ask the deer, turtle, and the crane. Make sure the spirits of these lands are respected and treated with goodwill. The land is a being who remembers everything. You will have to answer to your children and theirs. The red shimmer of remembering will compel you up the night to walk the perimeter of truth for understanding. As I brushed my hair over the hotel sink to get ready, I heard, by listening, we will understand who we are in this holy realm of words. Do not parade, pleased with yourself. You must speak in the language of justice. 2. Use effective communication skills that display and enhance mutual trust and respect. If you sign this paper, we will become brothers. We will no longer fight. We will give you this land and these waters, as long as the grass shall grow and the rivers run. The lands and waters they gave us did not belong to them to give. Under false pretenses, we signed. After drugging by drink, we signed. With a mass of gunpowder pointed at us, we signed. With a flotilla of warships at our shores, we signed. We are still signing. We have found no peace in this act of signing. A casino was raised up over the gravesite of our ancestors. Our own distant cousins pulled up the bones of grandparents, parents, and grandchildren from their last sleeping place. They had forgotten how to be human beings. Restless winds emerged from the earth when the graves were opened and the winds went looking for justice. If you raise this white flag of peace, we will honor it. At Sand Creek, several hundred women, children, and men were slaughtered in an unspeakable massacre after a white flag was raised. The American soldiers trampled the white flag in the blood of the peacemakers. There is a suicide epidemic among native children. It is triple the rate of the rest of America. It feels like wartime, said a child welfare worker in South Dakota. If you send your children to our schools, we will train them to get along in this changing world. We will educate them. We had no choice. They took our children. Some ran away and froze to death. If they were found, they were dragged back to school and punished. They cut their hair, took their language, until they became as strangers to themselves as they became strangers to us. If you sign this paper, we will become brothers. We will no longer fight. We will give you this land and these waters in exchange, as long as the grass shall grow and the rivers run. Put your hand on this Bible, this blade, this pen, this oil derrick, this gun, and you will gain trust and respect with us. Now we can speak together as one. We say, put down your papers, your tools of coercion, your false promises, your posture of superiority, and sit with us before the fire. We will share food, songs, and stories. We will gather beneath starlight and dance, and rise together at sunrise. The sun rose over Potomac this morning, over the city surrounding the White House. It blazed scarlet, a fire opening truth. White House, or Chogo Hutke, means the house of the peacekeeper, the keepers of justice. We have crossed this river to speak to the white leader for peace many times since these settlers first arrived in our territory and made this their place of governance. These streets are our old trails, carved to fit around the trees. 3. Give constructive feedback. We speak together in this trade language of English. This trade language enables us to speak across many language boundaries. These languages have given us the poets Ortiz, Silko, Momode, Alexei, Diaz, Bird, Woody, Kane, Bitsu, Long Soldier, White, Eldrick, Tapahonso, Howe, Luis, Brings Plenty, Ockpick, Hill, Wood, Maracle, Cineros, Trusk, Hogan, Dunn, Welsh, Gould. The 1957 Chevy is unbeatable in style. My broken down one-eyed Ford will have to do. It holds everyone, grandma, grandpa, aunties and uncles, the children and the babies, and all my boyfriends. That's what she said, anyway, as she drove off for the 49 with all of us in that shimmying wreck. This would be no place to be without blues, jazz. Thank you, Muto, to the Africans, to the Europeans sitting in, especially Adolf Sax with his saxophone. Don't forget that at the center is the Muskogees ceremonial circles. We know how to swing. We keep the heartbeat of the earth in our stomp dance feet. You might try dancing theory with a bustle or a jingle dress, or with turtles strapped around your legs. You might try wearing colonization, like a heavy gold chain, around a pimp's neck. 4. Reduce defensiveness and break the defensiveness chain. I could hear the light beings as they entered every cell. Every cell is a house of the God of Light, they said. I could hear the spirits who love us stomp dancing. They were dancing as if they were here, and then on another level of here, and then another, until the whole earth and sky was dancing. We are here dancing, they said. There was no there. There was no I or you. There was us. There was we. There we were as if we were the music. You cannot legislate music to lockstep, nor can you legislate the spirit of music to stop at political boundaries, or poetry, or art, or anything that is of value or matters in this world and the next worlds. This is about getting to know each other. We will wind up back at the blues, standing on the edge of the flattered fifth, about to jump into a fierce understanding together. 5. Eliminate negative attitudes during conflict. A panther poised in a cypress tree about to jump is a panther poised in a cypress tree about to jump. The Panther is a poem of fire, green eyes, and heart charged by 4 winds or 4 directions. The Panther hears everything in the dark, the unspoken tears of a few hundred human years, storms that will break what has broken his world, a bluebird swaying on a branch a few miles away. He hears the death song of approaching prey. I will always love you, sunrise. I belong to the black cat with fire green eyes, there in the cypress tree near the morning star. 6. And use what you learn to resolve your own conflicts and to mediate others' conflicts. When we made it back home, back over those curved roads that wind through the city of peace, we stopped at the doorway of dusk as it opened to our homelands. We gave thanks for the story, for all parts of the story, because it was by the light of those challenges we knew ourselves. We asked for forgiveness. We laid down our burdens next to each other. I wanted to talk about this poem because I think that it's highly symbolic about the times that we're going through at the moment. In the past, when the people of Latin America and the Americas were at peace and they had their own land, or relative peace, they had their lands, they were free. And the freedom that they had is not a freedom that we understand. And the Europeans came and took their lands away and took their freedoms away. And this poem is much like that. It's talking about what happened. And it talks about what's going on, the relationship between human and the earth in a metaphysical, in a symbolic way, in a metaphysical way, in a shamanic way, in a pagan way, which is outside of the box of a Christian understanding or an Abrahamic cosmovision of the world. As we go into the world of 2024, 25, 2030, and as we have technology coming along, we have technology which is changing the world faster and quicker than anything else in history. The printing press, the gunpowder, it's nothing compared to what AI is going to be able to do. And as AI comes in, it has the ability to take our freedoms away, to take our lifestyles away. Already, we don't have houses, we rent. So for us, it's very difficult to understand what it would be like to have land, because most people don't have land. It talks a lot about the relationship between humans and the land in spiritual terms, but not in a symbolic way, but in a very factual and real way, which is shamanism. Because of Christianity, Christianity gave an argument for the Europeans to go and conquer other empires and other countries and other continents. And because of that, a lot of bad things happened. And those bad things should never have happened if truly those religions were adhered to, or the religions were strong and true. However, whenever we do have ideas or ideologies and we have religions, people, some listen to them and some don't. But if you do listen to the religions, they should have enough strength and weight in order for arguments not to be used using them to go and hurt and torture people, which is against the religion, which is what you believe in. We're also having centralized digital banking. Centralized digital banking is going to take away a lot of freedom, a lot of rights. It's going to take away our land. In the past, there was physical land. Today, we have a symbolic land. We have the land of our internet. We have the land of our private files. We have the land of Google Drive. We have the land of our phones. They are spaces. And those spaces are supposed to be private. In the past, you took people away from their lands and you put them somewhere else. That was done to damage the people. You took their lands away to damage them. And today, we are having our lands taken away, which is our privacy and our rights. What that thing is that took the indigenous land away is the same thing which is taking our lands away, our rights away, our privileges away. And when I read this poem, I can see that it's relevant to the oncoming troubles that we're going to have with centralized digital banking, with AI, with control, with dominance, and with privacy issues. So this is going to be quite long. It's not for the faint-hearted. Recognize whose lands these are on which we stand. Land is a space, my freedom, my privacy. To Google, to Apple, to AI, recognize whose lands these are on which we stand. You, Google, you technology are in the dimension of the earthly people. Talatala in Hinduism is a different dimension. Those people in that dimension, Maya Donovan for instance, can penetrate into this dimension through interdimensional abilities, through energetical abilities. Our problem in this dimension, because we have lost our shamanism or the ability to shamanize, we no longer believe in the metaphysical, in the energies, in the spirits. We no longer believe that animals are people, which Joy gets into a little bit later on. So we have to recognize. To recognize is to go back and find our origin. It's to find our stories, because through the stories and through our origin, we can recognize. So when she says recognize whose lands these are on which we stand, you have to go and find out who you are, what your essence is, what your culture is. And culture is not football and religion. It goes back before then. It goes back to the time when humans and nature had a relationship, which is not what we have today. What we have today is a relationship between humans and technology, but that relationship, that interconnectedness was probably, I would have thought, very, very, very much like the interconnectedness that we had back many eons ago, before the advent of Christianity, which was basically introduced to destroy and interrupt the connection between man and nature. If it wasn't, then why through Christianity have we managed to destroy the earth? Because if religion, if the most important thing is the relationship between us and the earth, then how is it we've come to treat it so badly? On these lands on which we stand, whose lands are these? So there's an ownership over the land, it seems. But according to like Indian ideology, no one should own the land. So it's setting us up. It sort of said something and it becomes interesting. Like, what is she setting us up for? And she's asking the question, whose lands are these on which we stand? And then she goes on to say, ask the deer, turtle, and the crane. Okay, so why are we asking these entities? Why are we asking these people? And she's starting to tell us that these animals have information that we don't. These animals can be teachers. These animals may know more than us. Go back to nature. Go back to the energies in nature. So don't think of it as deer, turtle, crane, human. Think of it as energies which are in a form having an experience. We're all the same. If we go back to ask them whose land this is on and they know more than us, then maybe we should respect them for having more information than we do. She's giving them intelligence and she's giving them integrity. And that would go towards all animals, all plants and all vegetation and all animals. So she's bringing the surrounding energies back onto the same level as human energies and humanity. because together we have to work together. Together we're all in this cup together. She's also teaching us how to speak to nature. When we pray, how do we pray? Well, most people pray to God as if God is a person. And what she's saying is that when you go and ask energies or entities questions, ask them as if you're talking to them. So she's bringing the connection back. Don't see it as something that doesn't understand you. See it as something that does understand you. If it doesn't respond in the way that you want it to respond, that's because it might not be able to. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't understand. And many people that have pets will say that the pets understand when they talk to them. Make sure the spirits of these lands are respected and treated with goodwill. Okay, so now she's bringing in spirits. She's saying that it's not just humans here, it's also spirits. They are here. And we must make sure that we respect them and treat them well. Why must we make sure? Make sure. It's sort of an omen, it's sort of a portent, it's sort of a warning. Make sure that you treat them well. Make sure you respect them because they are deserved of respect. And they are deserved of goodwill in the same way that the energies treat us with goodwill. They give us water, they give us food, they give us fruit, they give us shelter, they give us wood to cook and to make houses and to write and to paper and all sorts of stuff. So it's reciprocal. Humble yourself, respect the land, know your place in it, humble the land, be humble to the land. The land is bigger than you. The land is a being who remembers everything. So you could imagine in a metaphysical way that the conglomeration of entities and spirits could become one mind, which could be Mother Nature. Or you might think Mother Nature is separate from everything else. It could both be separate and together at the same time. What she's saying is that Mother Nature or the spirits, they have seen everything. They know everything. There is no hiding from them. Be careful what you do because it is recorded and remembered. And don't worry, justice will come because what she has seen and what they have seen will be dealt with from their recollections. Nothing is lost. You will have to answer to your children and your children's children and theirs. Now, this is very interesting because in the Bible, I don't like getting religious, so don't worry. I'm not going to start doing religious stuff. In the Bible, there's the fifth commandment. The fifth commandment is the only commandment that's got a promise attached to it. Obey thy mother and father. If you obey your mother and father, then it says, honor your mother and father that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God giveth thee. So honor your mother and father, and as a gift of serving mother and father, you'll be given land, you'll be given food, you'll be given the protection of the earth. But when it says honor your mother and father, it's coming from a position that your mother and father were aligned with God. Today, how many people are aligned with God or aligned with nature? We believe, many people believe, but they don't do. And doing is actually, for me, faith. So it's not important you believe in something, you have to actually do it. And so in the fifth commandment, it puts the responsibility on the children to obey the father, which is quite strange because how can a child really obey a mother and father? But if you read deeper into it, what it's actually saying is that the mother and father have a duty to be a mother and father, but it's never questioned or identified or clear what a mother and father is. Because a mother or father that smokes or drinks in front of their children or hits their children or has alcohol or doesn't connect the child to nature is not a mother and father. Somebody that believes in the system is actually misleading the children, therefore they're not a mother and father, therefore you don't need to obey them. And so if you obey your mother and father who are in line with God, then you yourself will be in line with God. And so here you will have to answer to your children and their children and theirs. You, us, me, you, we have the responsibility of what's going on in the world, and we have to answer for that to children, or when we die to that, or whatever it is. So it's putting the responsibility in our hands of what we have to do as service to the people who are yet to be born. And it's so common. It's so common that we kick the bucket down the road, like pensions. We keep kicking the pension down the road. One day, the people that pay the pensions won't have a pension. We kick pollution down the road. We'll get our young people to clean the plastics up. We'll get our young people to deal with the oil. We'll get our young people to deal with the climate change. We didn't take responsibility. Our fathers didn't take responsibility, and now we have to. So there is now a threat. So in the Old Testament, there's a promise of goodness, but joy has reversed that into a threat. If you don't respect your children, they won't pay your pensions. They won't help you. They will get rid of you. They will hold you accountable. So she's reversed the 5th commandment, which is very interesting. In the Bible, it also says that the land has been given to people. You can't give something that's not yours, but in the Bible, it says that it is humans. If it is ours and we are the guardians of it, have we guarded it well? Have we done a good job? No, we haven't. So again, we become responsible. The Bible never talks about the responsibility of having it. It just says that we are the owners of it. It doesn't talk about stewardship. That's something you have to read a little bit more into. The red shimmer of remembering will compel you up the night to walk the perimeter of truth for understanding. Now, this is a bit difficult for me. The red shimmer of remembering, maybe the red shimmer might be the shimmer of blood. So blood, the death, will compel you up the night to walk the perimeter of truth for understanding. So the bad things in the world that have happened through bloodshed will wake you up and push you through the night to walk to the boundaries of truth so that you can understand what's going on. So it's almost like people won't understand from having a good time. They'll understand from the terrors. I'm not too good at translating that. And then she goes on, as I brushed my hair over the hotel sink to get ready, I heard. So we've gone from something which is objective now to something which is extremely personal. We're now in her hotel room. We're now watching her brush her hair, and she's getting ready. What's she getting ready for? Is she getting ready for what she's just threatened us with? Or is she getting ready to meet someone? Who is that someone? Is it the children? Is it God? Is it for bed? Is it someone in the bed? Is it someone downstairs? Is it to go out? Is it a poetry recital? So what is it? What is it that she's inviting us into her home, into this private, intimate ceremony? Because brushing hair, I think for women is ceremonial, isn't it? Before bed, they brush their hair. When they get up, they brush their hair. They meditate, they're thinking. So as she's brushing her hair, as she's in meditation, right, it goes on to the second bit. By listening, we will understand who we are in this holy realm of words. So she hears a voice in this meditation, and she's talking about holy realm of words. So she's a wordsmith. She's a poet, and a poet are sort of magicians or shamans of words. So where she comes from, there will be shamans. But a shaman is someone that brings things into order or can manipulate energy for healing. And so she's using her poems to manipulate words, which are energies, in order to heal, to bring understanding, if you like. So the holy realm of words is a holy land, just as her land is a holy place, just as earth is a holy place. There are spaces that we cannot see, which are holy realms, the realm of spirits, the realm of entities, the realm of duendes, the realm of words, the realm of form. And she talks about listening. We don't listen, so it's through meditation she can listen. And she brings back a message. Understand who we are in this holy realm of words. Who am I? How am I feeling? How am I interacting with this poem? And what are the words of the bad people? And she goes on to this a little bit later. So just because words are holy and sacred doesn't mean they can be used for bad things. They're energetical things. And the holy realm of words, the holy realm of words is also about story. And this poem is half poem, half story. Do not parade pleased with yourself. So don't go around looking good and having an ego. Be humble. Don't show off your connection with the earth. Don't show off your abilities. Don't show off your skills or your talents and be pleased with yourself. No, Be humble. And what she's doing is she's grooming, isn't she? She's self-grooming. She's making herself ready. She's when women brush themselves, they are there for presentation. So do not be caught up in presentation, and be pleased with yourself as if it's an honor or a piece of ego. You must speak in the language of justice. So what she's saying is, don't think about how you look. Don't worry about your nails. Don't worry about your perfume or your t-shirts. Don't worry about the superficial things in life that we're sold through television and adverts and computers. Look at the language of justice, and the language of justice comes in the same realm as the language of words. So if justice can come in the language of words, and justice is one of God's works, then whatever is giving that justice must be a holy realm, i.e. the holy realm of words. And look for justice as well. Don't look for hate. As Nelson Mandela, he didn't hate the white people. He tried to have justice. He tried to have meditation. He understood that going against the white people would cause many issues. And as we see today in South Africa, there is a hatred for the white people. And the white people on farms are attacked, and the white people on farms are abused, the women. They are chopped up, they are tortured, they are mutilated, they are killed. And that is an act of revenge. And so what she's talking about, she's not talking about revenge, she's talking about justice. The truth comes from the tortoise. The truth comes from animals. Look to them for justice. They will speak to you of justice. So do not look for the land of hate. Look for the land of nature. Look for the guardians. Look for the spirits for justice. Use effective communication skills that display and enhance mutual trust and respect. Then she goes on to how the snake, the Garden of Eden. So they are in the Garden of Eden. It's a romantic, nostalgic idea, which isn't true. They were fighting as well. They were killing each other, but they were living in peace. Yeah, I don't think they were torturing, eating, and imprisoning people. It was rough, but it was sort of simple. And the snake is saying, if you sign this paper, we will become brothers. We will no longer fight. We will give you this land and these waters as long as the grass shall grow and the rivers run. Now, if you look at technology, technology is all about tick the box, and we will become brothers. You can use Google, you can use WhatsApp, just tick the box, just agree, because we don't sign anymore. We just tick boxes, we agree. We will no longer fight. So there will be harmony. In order to get on and be able to operate in a technological world, you mustn't fight with it. Therefore, you must go along with it. Therefore, you must agree. Therefore, you must tick the box. And we will give you this land, the techno land, the interfaces, the metaverse, the techno realms. We will give you these lands. We will give you the electricity as long as everything works well. But we know that this is a lie. We know this is a lie. The lands and waters they gave us did not belong to them to give. So you can't give us our privacy. It's already our privacy. We shouldn't be asking for our privacy. And this, for me, is especially the case of centralized digital money. This is what I think that the poem really can be used to look at. And money has a certain amount of privacy. I give you money. I know money's dirty because you never know where it comes from. But there's freedom attached to it to a certain extent. Even money's even bad, but centralized digital currency is like even worse, you know? So taking lands off the American Indians is bad, but then subjugating people to not being able to use their bank accounts, like what happened with Canadians, and people were giving money to help some type of person in order to protest, and then they had their banks deleted, or Nigel Farage. The lands and the waters they gave us did not belong to them to give, right? And it's the same about them now taking away our lands. We are going into a stage of life whereby we are not going to be able to go to certain places, and also there are land swaps. There's deals called GDN, Global Deal for Nature, where part of debt that you've got, you give over land to restore and you don't use. And this has further repercussions later down the road. So as soon as they cordon off large amounts of natural habitation that we will not be able to go to. And this is the irony. So we took, or Europeans took, or the Western ideology took, when I say we, I'm talking about Western ideology, we took their lands from them. But now we are part of a system which is going to take the lands from us. It can take our houses from us. How many people have a house? How many people rent? And if you can't pay the rent, where do you go? We don't even have a house. We don't even have a flat, which is a space, which is owning space in space. Owning a piece of land in space that has no land, a flat. We don't even own it. So what's happened to the indigenous people is happening to us, but we can't see it because of the drink, because of the distraction, because of Netflix. The lands and waters we signed with a mass of gunpowder pointing at us. Well, if you don't take something into your body, you won't have a job. A flotilla of warships at our shores. What are the fears that we have? Loss of money, loss of land, loss of pension, loss of integrity, loss of something. After drugging by drink, what is the drug that we have today? Marijuana, illegal stuff, sugars, fame, whatever it is. We found no peace in this act of signing. So whatever is promised to us, we are not going to be happy. Whatever digital currency is given to us, whatever the new politics is given to us, whatever wars we don't have, whatever the European Union decide, we still won't be happy. Because you're taking away from us things that you cannot take away. And they already have taken it away. And there is nothing that they have already taken away which is going to placate the illnesses that we suffer, the depressions, the anorexias, the lostness that we have, the inability to connect with nature. That is the essence of this. Our ability to connect through nature has been taken away. And first it's done through culture, through language, through land. And we don't have that anymore. We've lost our culture. We've lost our languages. English, what is English? Old English doesn't exist. Middle English. Anyway, but we've definitely lost our lands and our culture. And our culture is not religion or football. A casino was raised up over the grave sites of our ancestors. Our own distant cousins pulled up the bones of grandparents, parents and grandchildren from their last sleeping place. Well, that's about not respecting your grandparents. It's about not respecting. For the indigenous Indians, their grandparents were closer to the correct and aligned culture of being to nature than our grandparents who fought in the Second World War. If you want to go back to, if you want to look at the grandparents that they had compared to the grandparents we had, you're going to have to go back 2,000 years before Christianity came in. And what do we do? What sort of things do we do? What our grandparents fought against, for instance, fascism or maybe communism, we are now inviting into our houses. It says they had forgotten how to be human beings. We have forgotten how to be human beings. We have forgotten how to treat animals. We don't care where animals come from, what they eat or how they're killed. We don't care about destroying our lands so that animals can't live. Because remember, for her, for Joy, animals are humans. They're people, okay? So they had forgotten how to be human. And when they forgot how to be human, they disrespected their ancestors. What we are doing, disrespecting our ancestors, but our ancestors are so far back, we don't know anything about them. Restless winds emerged from the earth when the graves were opened and the winds went looking for justice. So this is a threat. It's important. It's saying, be careful. You've disturbed the people on the earth. As a human being, our job is to guard the earth. We are stewards of the earth. In the past, we did have stewards of the earth in the shaman times, and they did things that perhaps we can't understand now. And then when we go and disturb their graves for money to build, to make casinos, to disturb their resting places for something superficial which is not good, perhaps even malign or evil, then the karma's coming, the energy's coming back. If you raise this white flag of peace, we will honor it. Again, the snake is toying with you. It's making false promises. If you raise this white flag, if you become subservient, if you acquiesce, we will honor it. And it's the same thing every single time. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Just give in, just acquiesce for 2 weeks, and we will honor it. And then it goes on a year, 2 years. Yeah, just take this, just take this, and then we will be happy. No, still, you can't go to work. You have to give up medical information. Just one war. It's just with Iraq, and then we will have peace. Oh, it's just another one with Libya, and then we'll have peace. Then it's another one with Afghanistan, and we'll have peace. Then another one with Ukraine, and we'll have peace. Then another one in Yemen, and we'll have peace. So it's always a lie. They're always asking you to give in, to give up, so that there will be peace. And it's a lie. At Sand Creek, several hundred women, children, men were slaughtered in an unspeakable massacre after a white flag was raised. The American soldiers trampled the white flag in the blood of the peacemakers. Again, how many people died in Iraq? 250,000. How many people have died in Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Ukraine, Yemen? How many people? Million. How many people? How many people? So many people. Massacres. There is a suicide epidemic among native children. It is triple the rate of the rest of America. Well, for men, it's a much higher rate than women. So maybe perhaps the people that commit less suicide might be Asian women, then white women, and then black women, and then indigenous women. But then the men commit more suicide than women do. And today, what we're seeing is that it's the children which are suffering. It's the children. Even in our schools today, the children are suffering. And now the suicide is an end of your life. It's so that you cannot carry on. You have no progeny. You cannot procreate. But with the transgender coming in and the push for transgenderism against children, you are suiciding their progeny. If you send your child to our schools, we will train them to get along with the changing world. We will educate them. Right. You're not educating, you're brainwashing. When the children go to school today, they are not learning facts, they are learning emotions, they are arguing with emotions. So the new form of education is the type of education to go along with the society and the system, which is the same education that they gave indigenous kids, especially in Canada where they killed them. And the promise, again, it's another false promise. Give us our children, we'll educate them. Same thing the Jesuits said, give us a child of 6 and we'll turn him into a man. What are you turning these people into? Why are you saying we'll educate them as if the indigenous people don't have an education? Their education is nature. It's the connection with nature. It's the understanding. It's the feeling with nature. It's the ability to read trees. It's the ability to read land. It's the ability to be at peace, to be happy, to be in harmony. It's the pursuit of education which ruins harmony. So this education is actually about destruction. Again, the snake is speaking. We will destroy your children under the umbrella of education if you give them to us so that they can adjust to a changing world. But this changing world is a world that we want because it's going further away from nature. So if the changing world goes further away from nature, we will take your children and destroy the nature in them so that they can be part of this new system. We had no choice. They took our children, some ran away and froze to death. Well, today we have very little choice. You're forced to put your children in school. And if you don't go along with the school, if you don't let your children change gender, the school will take your children away. Some children run away, so from school. And where do they go to? They don't freeze to death, but they take drugs and they die later on in life, some of them. If they were found, they are dragged back to school and punished. Today, we don't punish them. Punishment is there to stop them from running away. Today, we can do other things. We can give them drugs now. They cut their hair, took their language, until they became a stranger to themselves, even as they became strangers to us. So what we're seeing is that the indigenous people came from the land and they're seeing the disconnection from the land. In white culture, we are already disconnected from the land. So to see the change happening is very much more difficult. If you, again, the snake speaks, if you sign this paper, we will become brothers. We will no longer fight. We will give you this land, and these waters will change, and these waters in exchange. Again, you're saying to the people, if you put your children in school, they'll be able to go to university, especially in the Western world. Put your hand on this Bible, this blade, this pen, this oil derrick, this gun, and you will gain trust and respect with us. Now we can speak together as one. So it's the white person, I think, speaking here. And it's saying, indigenous person, put your hand on this. So like respect, be a part of this, be a part of our Abrahamic religion, which is brainwashing. This blade, which is war. This pen, which takes you away from natural looking at things in order to go into books. It's a form of mind changing. This oil derrick, that's business, that's money. This gun, that's violence. And you will gain trust and respect with us. So change your ways, change the relationship that you have with nature. Give up nature and come onto our path. And then we will respect you, and then we will speak as one, because you will speak our language. So it's a disrespect. It's a disrespect of other people's culture, and it's an ego love of your own. We say put down. So now the indigenous people speak back. They're saying no. We say put down your papers, your tools, and your coercion, because it's through the paper, it's through the internet, it's through the subtle ways that you do things, your false promises, your posture of superiority. So you think that you're better, and sit with us before the fire. So sit with us before something that's natural, something that you used to do. Humans have been around 200,000 years. You would have sat around the fire 200 years ago, 300 years ago. We will share food. So we will give you something. So food is peace. We will give song. Song is a connection back to nature. We will give stories. We will give the origins back to you. We will give your culture back to you. We will gather beneath starlight and dance. So we will gather beneath the blessings of the stars, and together we will dance. We'll be in communion together and rise together at sunrise. So we'll be born again together. So through our process, you can be born again. So they offer brainwashing, violence, their own academic stuff, their violence and their power and money. And they're offering stories, go back to nature, reconnect, heal. So they're offering healing to the white man. And they're also the symbols of each culture. Song, dance, stories, violence, brainwashing, money. And it's also talking about your ideas and stuff, your feminism, your AI, your LGBTQ, your capitalism, your communism, your socialism. It's saying put all of that aside. Don't think about these things. These things separate you from nature. Dance. So go with your heart, not with your mind. Go with your soul, not with your mind. Go back to the stories that have symbols in them, that have truth in them, that have light in them. Go back to those things that were developed by your ancestors. And the problem is with the West is that we reject our ancestors. We reject alchemy, for instance. Alchemy is the forefather of modern science. Not many people know that. The sun rose over the Potomac this morning, over the city surrounding the White House. It blazed scarlet of fire opening truth. The White House. So this is a bit difficult for me, but the way I interpret it is the White House is supposed to be a holy place. It's supposed to be like a maloka. It's supposed to be like a church. In the West, we separated the White House, the church, the parliament, the schools, the university. In indigenous cultures, it all comes under one same branch. And it's the same problem in school. You learn history, you learn art, you learn science, you learn physics, but you never learn the history of physics. You never learn the science of art. You never learn the history of religion. You learn individual things, but you can never put them together as a whole. And so in the holy houses or the malokas or these temples, you gather together and you talk about everything so that you unify everything and you can see how everything interconnects. The Western mind breaks everything apart. It distorts, it fractionizes. The shamanism brings things back together to make whole and complete again through healing. And she talks now about a journey. We have crossed this river to speak to the white leader for peace many times. So this is an ongoing problem. They've lied again and again and again, and they've stolen again and again and again. But they're showing resilience and perseverance, and they can see it's a story, and they can see it's a process, and they can see it's a journey. Since these settlers first arrived in our territory. So now she's saying this is our land and it's not being respected and made their place of governance. The streets are our old trails and carved to fit around trees. Now this is a beautiful line. These streets are our old trails carved to fit around trees. We make trails around nature. When you make paths, you destroy nature and put them in straight lines. We respect nature, and nature tells us how to make paths to our houses, our churches, our temples. The streets are our old trails carved to fit around trees. Still, the settlers haven't managed to destroy the streets. Still, the streets have the mark, the footsteps, and the stomping of the original people. So the land is still in charge. The land is still in charge. And she goes back towards dancing and stomping and walking a little bit further on. Give constructive feedback. We speak together with this trade language of English. English is a language which is a little bit like money. It's interchangeable. So if you have a chicken and you want a horse, you can sell the chicken, get money, and then you can buy the horse. But if the person that's got a horse doesn't want chickens, then you can't trade. So English is quite a good language because it's a trade language. It helps people speak and it brings things together. But it's a trade language. She doesn't say it's a cultural language. She says it's a trade language. So it's sort of like being created. It's new. And there are three types of English: Old English, Middle English, and Modern English, which is the English that we speak. This trade language enables us to speak across many language barriers. These languages given us. Now, she goes on. Just as a shaman, when they want to empower themselves, they would say tigers, plants, sky, wind, earth, rivers, water, in order to pull their gods in. Or the Catholic Church would say the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, the saints, the Gospels. So you have these people that protect you, and she is talking about the people, her people, her protection, her people that she gets on. And so she sort of invokes the poets. And then she goes back into a personal story. Remember when she was talking about combing her hair? Now she goes back into a personal story again. The 1957 Chevy, and it's humorous. She brings now humor into this. The 1957 Chevy is unbeatable in style. My broken down one-eye Ford will have to do. It holds everyone, grandma, aunties, so the whole family. It holds the family. So this piece of technology holds the whole family. And then all her boyfriends. So there's a nostalgia here. And then someone jokes, all 49 of them. This would be no place to be without blues and jazz. Thank you, muto, to the Africans, the Europeans. So instead of hating the settlers that come, she's now saying thank you to Adolphe Sax. Adolphe Sax invented the saxophone. He was a Belgian. So she's bringing it back in. She's saying the Africans and the Europeans created jazz, something that she loves, and she plays the saxophone as well. So it's not about hating. I hate white people. I hate Europeans. I hate technology. She's now saying, wow, look what they've done. They've created jazz. So she's looking at the good and the bad. Don't forget that at the center is the Muskogee ceremonial circle. So at the center of jazz is a ceremonial dance. It's sacred. And the indigenous, they know how to dance like the Africans. They know how to do it. And we keep the heartbeat of the earth in our stomp dance feet. Now, why? When you dance, dancing is very important for indigenous and for pagans, and especially white, barefoot, the witches, the druids, and all sorts. It's not just an indigenous thing that white people don't have. We also have this, but we've lost it. When you dance, you're talking to the earth. You're talking to the earth. Your mind where you are here, what you want, what magic, what change you want. You stomp your feet to speak to the earth. And that's the heartbeat. That's your heartbeat of love going to the earth. And the earth has its heartbeat, and the stomp is like a heartbeat. Your thoughts go to the earth, and then the earth makes you feel, and that goes back up to you. So it's a reciprocal thing, isn't it? And there's also a beat, and there's also a sound when you stomp your feet. Yeah, it's a defiance, it's prayer, it's impetus, it's pushing, it's energy. You might try dancing theory with a bustle or a jingle dress or a turtle strapped around your legs. And then she goes on for a fantastic line. You might try wearing colonization like a heavy gold chain around a pimp's neck. Okay. For me, what she's saying is that if you try to dance and you still have a colonization mindset, and that mindset is like a heavy gold chain, which has been bought from the use of women in a prostitution role, you are an abuser, you are a colonization. The pimp is just as much a colonizer as the conquistadors. And the pimp invests in his ego and luxury in the same way that the colonizers invested in their beautiful churches and their beautiful buildings and their trinkets and gold and silver. But if you come with that mindset, which you can do if you want, you will be heavy. You will be pulled down. You might try. To try is not to be able to. You might try wearing colonization like a heavy gold chain around the pimp's neck. So in order to dance, you have to be free of the colonization. And if you're not free, it's because of that mindset which weighs you down like a pimp. Reduce defensiveness and break the defensiveness chains. I could hear the light beings as they entered every cell. She's talking about angels. I don't think that this is symbolic. I think this is literal. I could hear the light beings as they entered every cell of your skin. And this is the same as ayahuasca. It's the same as plant medicine. It's the same as hallucinogenics. It goes into your DNA and it lights up your DNA, which gives you vision. Every cell is a house of the God of light. So light in this sense is understanding and wisdom. So when you drink plant medicine, it goes into your body, it goes into your cells, it activates, it brings light. And from there, your DNA, which holds your ancestors, the wisdom of your ancestors, it lights up. It gives you knowledge. And it's the same with the dance. Not all shamanism is done with plant medicine. It can be done with dance. It can be done with stomping. I could hear the spirits who love us stomp dancing. There you go. They were dancing as if they were here. And then another level of here. And then another level until whole earth and sky was dancing. So this is a communion. This is communion. When you go to church, you're bored. I'm bored when I go to church. I'm bored. I'm distracted. I'm lost. I want to go. I'm thinking about things I shouldn't be thinking about. And here she's talking about being in ecstasy with nature, in communion. The communion you get is a piece of bread and wine. She's talking about being in communion spiritually on a soul level with other entities, where you can receive light, information and wisdom, which is an entire different language, idea and concept towards these Abrahamic religions. And the Abrahamic religions probably came from hallucinogenic drinks, which is why you've got mead or you've got wine. Probably in that mead or wine they put a hallucinogenic element in there so that you could commune. The incense probably was hashish, could have been hashish. We are here dancing, they said. There was no there. So in Christianity, God is outside of us. He's somewhere else. You know, where's God? You know, he's in the sky. He's far away. He's seen as this distant father. With indigenous, with paganism, with what we used to have, God was with us. He was here, around us, in this room, in us. It was personal. When you go to a church, it's very objective, it's very large and impersonal. When you go to a holy place, when you go to nature, it's personal. You are in the realm of the spirits, you are in the realm of God. But when you go to church, you are separated from nature, even though church is supposed to be inspired from nature. There was no I or you, there was us, there was we. So we are together. There were There we were as we were the music. So the music is bringing us together, and it is making the ego dissolve. You cannot legislate music to lockstep, nor can you legislate the spirit of the music to stop at political boundaries. So music penetrates everything, the spirit of the music, because music, there's different types of music, but in this case, this is sacred music. This is like the sacred music of churches. It is their sacred music which penetrates political boundaries. It goes into poetry and art. So it's like the Holy Spirit, in other words, and the next worlds. That is of value or matters in this world, or poetry or art, anything that is of value or matters in this world and the next world. So this energy, this music can penetrate everything into the higher forms of consciousness. There is about getting to know. This is about getting to know each other. So this is how you know your fellow humans. How many times do you go to church and you don't talk to anyone? Yeah? Or maybe you shake hands, or maybe you hug, but you don't really know. You just placate the ideas of God to say you've done it. We will wind up back at the blue, standing on the edge of the flatter fifth, about to jump into a fierce understanding together. I don't understand that very much. Eliminate negative attitudes during conflict. A panther poised in the cypress tree about to jump is a panther poised in the cypress tree about to jump. And if it looks like a duck, sounds like a duck, and walks like a duck, it's probably a duck. So a panther is a panther. That is the nature of it. And the panther is a lion. It's a feline. It's a tiger. And tiger in shamanic and pagan is a very sacred and symbolic animal. In Hinduism, there are three animals that can become a human: a cow, a monkey, and a tiger. The tiger is very passionate, and they're mystical. In ayahuasca, the jaguar eats ayahuasca and it goes off into the other dimensions. And so the panther, be prepared. If you see the panther, be prepared, it might jump. If you are the panther, be prepared to jump. The panther is force and it's strong. Be ready to jump if you're the panther. Be ready to depend. Okay. Be alert. And the panther in 4 different directions is cardinal directions. So therefore, I understand it as a spirit. And the green eyes, they're poems as well. And when Joy talks about poems, she says plants are poems. But it's like saying an iceberg. You see the top of the iceberg, but you don't see what's underneath. You see the plant, but you don't see what's underneath. What's underneath is the poem. It's the invisible. It's the mystical. The panther hears everything in the dark. This is beautiful. The unspoken tears of a few hundred human years, storms that will break what has broken his world. So who is the panther? His world. So the panther has had his world broken, but I think that the panther refers to the spirit of the shamans, of the pagans, of the indigenous people. Our world has been shattered. Our world has been broken because we have been disconnected from nature, and the sacred trees have been destroyed. The plants and the animals have become distinct. They have lost their land. Animals have lost their land. Shamans have lost their land. Pagans have lost their land. Plants have lost their lands. And whatever that is that came, those storms that will break what has broken his world. So whatever people are imbibed with this mind virus to break the world, a storm is coming that will break theirs. So this is a prophecy, and this is a warning. A bluebird swaying on a branch a few miles away. It just shows the panther's ability to see things very far away. The panther hears everything in the dark. So the panther hears the future. The panther sees the future. The panther sees the swaying of a bluebird on a branch a few miles away. It sees the subtlety. So it can see what's coming. It can see the Armageddon. It can see the apocalypse. It can see the rightening, the justice that must come. Because remember, at the beginning of the poem, it talked about the justice of words. Okay? So its justice is coming. He hears the death song of his approaching prey. So the hunted now become the hunters. It's now turning. I will always love you, sunrise. I think that this is what the jaguar is saying. I don't think this is what the prayer is saying. I will always love you, sunrise. So the rising of the sun, the rising of light, the returning of light, what's coming back from the obscurity of night to the light of the day. I will always love you, sunrise, because you give rebirth. You shed light on, you take the darkness away. I belong to the black cat with fire green eyes. That's what I think the panther is saying. There in the cypress tree near the morning star. Well, the morning star, there's light in the morning, and the morning star are always about prophecy. The three wise men understood Jesus had been born from a star, and they followed the star in order to bring gifts. So I think this is about prophecy. And then number 6, and use what you learn to resolve your own conflicts and to meditate others' conflicts. Now, do you remember at the beginning she talked about brushing her hair? She has this conversation between what's going on outside and what's going on in her personal life and her history. When we made it back home, back over those curved roads, the curved roads which were carved by nature. So we went back to those paths and those journeys which were created by nature, which are strong, those things that were there before men, that the men rely on to build their White House. The wind through the city of peace. We stopped at the doorway of dusk as it opened to our own homelands. We gave thanks for the story. So for me, she's sort of meditating objectively in a subjective way on all of what's happened. And she's calling everything a story, the little process, the big process, for all our parts of the story. Because, and here it goes, this is brilliant, because it was by the light of those challenges we knew ourselves. So the plight of the Israelites in Egypt, the plight of the Jews, the plight of the indigenous people, those problems made them what they are today. Yeah. So she's got hope because they're in a pretty bad place. But it was by the light of those challenges we knew ourselves. So we knew what freedom is. Yeah, we knew what honesty was. We knew what peace was. We knew what those things were. We understand them because they were taken there, important. And then she goes, we asked for forgiveness. Forgiveness for what? I think that it's very humble. She's sort of saying, well, if we've done something wrong, we're sorry. She's not asking for forgiveness from them. She's asking for justice. But she's saying sorry, which is mature. It's odd. It's hard. It's really hard to say sorry. I think I've got it right. We asked for forgiveness. Yeah. So we're asking you to forgive us for something that we haven't done. But you might think that we've done something. So I think it's just a form of humility. And then she finishes everything off. We laid down our burdens next to each other. So I think she's saying the burdens they want to lay down, they want forgiveness, they want peace, they don't want revenge. They want the whole thing to just go away. So there's no malice. And she said what she said with the justice and everything else. So what I'm thinking about in this poem is what is happening to us in this state at the moment, with our freedoms being taken away, with transhumanism coming in, with our lands going, with our personal space going, our humanity going, our freedoms going. We must remember the human spirit, the panther with green eyes. And we must remember that we are not the victims. As it says here, we are not the victims, okay? And some of us can see change coming. And this techno soup that they're inventing, it's not going to win. The CBDC, it's not going to win. Taking our rights away, it's not going to win. The techno prison that they're building, it's not going to win. The storms are coming. The storms are coming that will break what has broken our world. So the storms will come back and destroy those people that are going to war, the politicians, the fact checkers, the captains of industry, the people that own large corporations, the banks, the food There's something coming which is going to take you all down, which is going to destroy your world, a world which has destroyed our world. And we will turn. We will sing a death song as you, the people that were in charge, become the prey. We will put you in court. We will send you to prison. We will have justice. And just the last note, to dance, you must be in tune with nature. You must connect with nature. That's very important. Thank you.